Okay, here we are again. Table Talks number 3 with Ketu this time again.
Yeah.
And to be continued every once in a while. We talk about a subject, and now we like to talk about the character structures and the underlying trauma and what MER can do to release the holding pattern in the body and to release that trauma, more or less. And we talk more about primal wounds, and the primal wounds are for life, basically. You never lose them really, but you can learn to live with them. And we have 3 wounds, which are 2 fear wounds. One is the pain wound, and 2 angry people. And Wilhelm Reich made a distinction of 5 styles.
Different character structures or styles. But maybe we should just say shortly what is a character structure or a character style.
Yeah, will you do that?
Yeah. So, according to what happens to you after your birth or in the first years of your life, you develop certain defensive patterns to protect yourself against unsafe environment or abuse or whatever negative things are happening in your life. You really try to survive. You do your best to survive. Huh? That's part of being human. You want to be alive, and so whatever comes at you, you develop what we call an armoring to protect yourself emotionally, perhaps also physically, against an environment which is not good for you. Yeah, and this, according to what happens to you in different phases of your life, in the first years of your life, you develop certain characteristics. And Wilhelm Reich, he was the one who named these characteristics for the first time. They were further developed by Alexander Lowen and bioenergetics, and they identified 5 different structures which are really recognizable. I recognize in myself and in clients who come, and I can already look at them and say something about what happened to them at certain points in their life.
Yeah, I agree, and I also see it in clients I always put clients in front of the mirror here, and then I look at the bodies and try to figure out what kind of early wounds they walk around with. And so, can you talk about the 5, or I can start with the first one actually?
Yeah, the schizoid.
Which the name I really don't like, but that's the unwanted child. That's more what I like to call that person. And the early wound is that it was not wanted as in the first stage of the life, and because it was not safe, and in the world it immediately was finding a comfort zone in the mind, in the brain. And people like that are really intellectual, creative, but they neglect their bodies a lot, and they think they feel.
Yeah.
That's what they say in sessions with me.
Yeah.
I think I feel.
Yes. Yeah, that's typical. And you can also see in their bodies, they're often a bit scrawny, and you can see that there is a lack of energy in the body, which has to do with the fact that after birth, if you don't come into a world which is where you feel safe, you will withdraw from the world, and you develop a intellectual capacity just to as a way to survive.
Yeah, and also as a way to prove that you are worth coming into this world, and to prove that you are you want to be welcomed in another way than the body way.
Yeah. So a way to work with someone like that is to help them feel safe again. In the first case, in their bodies, and the MER can really help there to help somebody feel safe again in the body, so that they can start to feel more and trust more, and feel more welcome in the world. And they don't have to always try to solve everything in the head.
Yeah, exactly. And what people also notice when they do sessions, if they come again, because most people don't come once, and when they understand it with the mind, and they stay at home the next time because they know what the effect is on the body. But if they are consistent, then they start to being educated in feeling. So they are in an MER session, you have a focal cueing, and you have a lot of conversation about what do you feel, where do you feel it, and people in this structure start to feel their body and start to feel nice sensations, and they also feel nice things. So they are getting a little trust in their bodies as a that they are getting embodied more and feeling more.
Yeah. That they can inhabit the body more, that they can feel grounded, feeling like they have a right to be, that they have the right to exist.
Yeah, right to feel.
And that the world is a good place for them to be.
Yeah, exactly.
That they don't have to to always be suspicious of the people around them. And, so that was the first one. And this is a character style which develops, often it starts already when in the womb, that you, as a fetus, you don't feel safe, and your mother during the pregnancy is also not feeling safe, and that will affect also the how the fetus feels.
I notice with clients that they come to a point that they feel really young, and they really feel the development of that wound, and that's also a path to heal them.
Yeah.
And then the second one.
Me.
It used to be me.
Yeah, it used to be
the oral one.
The oral, yeah. Well, the good news about what to talk about the oral structure, and the good news about character styles is that if it's unconscious, it has really a grip on you, and you end up in certain patterns of behavior and thinking. But if you work on these structures, and you get more awareness about how you function, and where your style is coming from, and why you develop a certain style, then you can also, to a large degree, become free, and you have more choices in your life. You're not stuck in a certain pattern.
No, and by doing MER sessions, you can learn to be to lose the holding structure in the body. So in the first one, they feel their body more. In the second one, the oral one, always has a lot of tension in the front. They're stuck in an exhale, basically. And they're asking. They're frozen in this asking posture, which they're probably not going to get because people are neglecting them. But when they open up more in a receiving way, then they get what they want, and then they're more resilient in life. They're like more balanced out in as a whole person. So the oral, a good way to work on that structure is in this way.
The oral person. If you get born and you actually can feel safe in the world, the next thing that you're looking for is nourishment. And if the nourishment is not there in terms of food, but also in terms of warmth and love from your parents, then in the first case, then you end up in a collapse. Because you reach out for love and nourishment, and if it's not there, at some point as a child you will give up. And by that you also develop certain physical characteristics. So what we do in a MER session is next to working on the emotional side, we also work on the physical armoring of where you're really locked in a certain way of behaving and feeling. So loosening up this armor can make you more able to to become more complete.
To become more whole. And I really experienced that in my body, and I was collapsed a lot, and now I'm more open, and I feel really happy with that.
Good thing. I'm happy you're not so needy anymore.
No. And then we have the pain type, because we want to go on, right?
Yeah.
The pain type. That's the next.
You mean what we call the psychopath, which is a big.
No, the masochist.
The masochist.
That's the pain type. That's the endurer. That's the overmanaged child, as we call it. That's the child that shouldn't shout when it was developing the voice, and when it wanted to be there, and they got really depressed in that period of their being, like, and then they start to endure. Start to hold things in.
It's the child who always gets told what to feel and how it should be.
Exactly.
When you're not allowed to develop autonomy, like to really become an independent person, which means that sometimes as a child you say no and you stamp your feet on the floor and you say, I'm not going to do that. And then your mother will explain you why you have to feel different. At some point you also pull. And then this no gets internal. On the outside you are a pleaser and you want to make everybody happy, and you always want to help and be of service, but inside there is a very angry child.
There's and it's enduring. It's holding all the energy in. And a good way to work on people with that pattern is to have a good grounding, so they can release some of that energy. Let's call it energy. It's a bit angry already, but let's say it energy, and also to express the no, express the no, I don't want this, and really open up this. And they often have a lot of energy in this part of the body, which is that if they grow a little older, then it's also getting a little bigger, this part of the body, in terms of...
It looks like it's a bit pressed down.
And they're getting a little fatter, and it's because all the energy is there, and it's not allowed to go out anywhere.
And so if you have short necks because they are... Really...
So if you lengthen the neck, you open the pelvis and legs, then things are shifting and people are getting more whole.
Yeah, and that these people can feel like they have a right to feel what they feel, and they have a right to express themselves. And they don't always have to please.
Yeah. And then we have the two angry. We have two angry types as well.
Yeah.
And they develop later in their primal development. And then because that's the how do you say it in child terms? It's the I don't.
You mean the next one after the?
Yeah, the psychopath or the.
Yeah, the psychopath is quite a name to use.
I don't like that name.
But they are children who get told that you can do it, just keep going and do your best, and they become very competitive. They really have to. They are the children who the parents help them to start walking before they're ready to walk, but then they really tighten every muscle in the body and they want to please the parents and they go for it.
And they want to do it themselves.
They want to do it themselves, and they, there's a lot of pressure put on them to perform and to be in a certain way. Huh?
And they get this pattern of being not good enough in the way that they are. I don't find the word. I have to cut this.
Say it in Dutch.
Teleurgesteld.
They are disappointed.
Disappointed, they're super disappointed, and they want to show, and they act in anger to express that they're worth it, and they're so disappointed and so angry with that disappointment that they have a big drive to be the best all the time.
And they feel like they have to do it alone because there is no support. Yeah, disappointment is one way to describe it. Betrayal, the feeling of having been betrayed is
even worse than disappointed.
Yeah,
but that's stronger, and that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, betrayal. So it's really you against the world. And these are the people who Yeah, in the worst case, they are the bullies in the schoolyard. Huh?
They're the leaders. They're the bullies.
In the good,
always.
there's also every character style also has its positive sides. So this can become the bully, but it can also be a great leader who really knows how to inspire people, and that's the therapeutic work. How you can make something good out of the qualities you have. Huh?
If you can make this person softer and more embodied and less anger, then they can be balanced out and become really good leaders, because then people who work for their companies, they are being heard and are not being bullied, and then they become good leaders. And before if they are really in that wound, then they are strong and they're over managing everybody around them. And that's not a good way to be in that period. And then hardly come for sessions. I have them sometimes, but they always try to control the whole session. They always, no, this has to be stronger, and I come here for a good massage, and I'm not here to work on myself.
And who do you
don't
think?
Want to look. Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are?
You're the oral. I always overboss you. So also here.
They can be very controlling, but this also, because they don't trust, but this also becomes really a handicap. Because they miss then intimacy in their relationships, and they never trust. So they end up pretty lonely as well.
Yeah, they're rich, powerful, but lonely. And that's what you see in those people a lot. And then we have the last one, which comes in two parts. And you're a great teller of this part.
The rigid style, huh?
Yeah.
The rigid style is really the last character style to develop. And it has to do with the child developing feelings of love and also sexuality, and they want to share these new feelings with the people closest to them, which is in most cases the parents. So they come and they can be sexual with the parents, and then the parents get very scared and they get very shocked, and they will say no, and the child ends up feeling very hurt, because these are very tender and very precious feelings. And it's all very innocent, actually. So
it should be innocent, but in older times there was a lot of ban over sexuality and over showing nice parts of your body to the parents. That was not done, and
it's a taboo. It's still taboo.
For a great deal of people, it's still taboo.
And many people are not so comfortable with their own sexuality. So when the child starts to be sexual, then it's a bit scary, and they don't know how to contain this, how to encourage this in a healthy way.
No.
And then the child will start to want to comply with expectations, and these are the people who end up very perfect. They can be great designers, architects, and also they dress very perfect, and they go to the gym and they work out, so they have perfect bodies,
and they want to show the world that they're worth looking at. So they're overcompensating that what wasn't seen by the parent by being perfect and by being. But then there always is this disappointment, because they are not being seen, and they're in this circle.
So what happens with rigid people is that they also develop a split between the heart and the genitals, where ideally you can be sexual and you can be loving and heartful at the same time. But for them, it's they can be very sexual, but it ends up very physical and end up using people, and they end up wanting really to prove something, that they are great lovers, but then the heart is missing. And they miss intimacy in their relationships.
Yeah, but also the heart and the gut feeling, they're disconnected, and that's the way to work on them, as a matter of fact. So to open up the diaphragm and the whole split area, to make it softer and to be more loving for themselves, more caring for their body, and being sexual, allow them to be sexual in the session, is really helping them to open up that part. And it can be really scary, because they're angry over it. They're angry over this whole situation. So if they trust the practitioner and they really allow them to have that feelings develop, then they open up and then they get more balanced out, and they get more sloppy, and they're less rigid in their patterns of cleaning everything around them and making it all.
There's also a lot of pain there, huh? From wanting to share your loving feelings and getting rejected by the people you love the most.
Yeah, but first I always experience anger with those people, and then under there's the pain of not being seen.
Yeah, you have the onion, huh? On the outside you see the behavior, and then when you start to work on the armoring, there's fear coming up, and then there's can be anger, and then after that painful feelings before you get to what's really the core, which is the love.
Yeah, not being met, part of that love. That's a great way to work on people, and I think that's more or less. And the good thing about recognizing your pattern is that you can catch yourself. So you can see, hey, I'm in this pattern again. And by doing this body work we teach and we also give, you can learn your pattern in the first place, but you can also come out of that pattern for a great part. And you learn to recognize when you go back into your old pattern. And then you can catch yourself and do it different, so you can make choices. Yeah. If you know what you are, you can make choices not to go there anymore, or even stay there. But then you know you're in your defense pattern, and that it doesn't really work for you in terms of relating to other people and yourself. So it's a good way to work that way.
Yeah, by working on this physical armoring, which is part of the different structures, people can become more free. Yeah, can. They are not so stuck in the same behavior, because body and soul is very much connected. So by working on the body and the soul, let's say the emotional part of the story, you work on both sides. You can really get create a lot of change, a lot of transformation, help people really become more free. Yeah, and you mentioned choices, that there's more choice in who they want to be, how they want to relate, how they want to come out with themselves.
Yeah, they're more balanced out, more resilient also for things happening around you. Yeah, you don't go back into your holding pattern, but you can make also choices in there and really react different to situations.
Because that's what happens when you're really stuck in one of these structures. Huh? When you have experienced stress, you immediately go back to your default, which is this certain kind of behavior. Yeah. But if you do the work, you can, even though things can be difficult and you get confronted with stress in your life, you still have choices. This is what serves me. This doesn't serve me. This is where I want to go, and this creates a lot of freedom. Yeah, and that's really where you want to go.
Besides the fact that you end up having chronic pain because of it, then that's another part of this whole holding pattern situation. People with a rigid character, they often have a lot of density in their bodies. They're so rigid. They're so held in their fascias that it's nice to really melt and to be more fluid. And people who are oral, for instance, they always are more or less bent over in the upper back,
head forward,
and because of that, they have to stress their lower back, and they always have some kind of lower back pain, like me. Yeah. And the way out of it is to open up and stretch, and then they get more resilient in relating to the tension that they have to do day by day. So and I don't know, masochists, the endurers, they hold a lot of tension in their bodies, and it's so nice to release that that over energy in some way, so they can lose weight and they can they can be more fluid and more resilient in reacting to people's response and stuff like that. So it's really interesting to go from this point of view into body work. We teach this in next month.
Yeah.
In Amsterdam, we have this class, trauma healing. Big part of the understanding of the trauma healing block or module is this understanding of how trauma is developed. And
how trauma manifests also in the body, because of course it does something with your emotional system. But there's the emotions, there's the autonomic nervous system, and there's fascia, and how this all is related, and how you can work on it to become more free.
Yeah, what we try to do there is not only this character styles, but it's also we shine a light on all the kinds of structures of how trauma is built and how you can catch it and how you can contain it in a session as a therapist. So all kinds of angles we shine a light on there.
Yeah, and what's great for the participants, you also get a chance to go through your own personal process. So you learn how to work with this, but you also need to feel it in your own body. And that's a very valuable thing to do, because if you can experience it in yourself, you can also help other people go through this process.
Yeah, that's necessary actually, because if you see people with the same wound you walk around with, and that can really turn you off out of your session because you get drawn away by it. And when you experienced it yourself and you worked on it, then you can facilitate your sessions better because you understand people and you feel what they feel, and you can help them a step further and in their release of their tensions.
Yeah, so it's great work, and it's really for people who already have some experience with MER.
Yeah, that's a pray, because and it's actually a must, because we work with certain strokes and certain ways of working on deep tissue, and it's nice if you at least know how to place your hands on people.
That you have some experience with touch and with working with connective tissue. And working with people.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be MER that you, but if you are a rolfer, or if you are an osteopath, or if you are rebalancer, then it's good to join this class too.
Yeah.
So, but this is what I think. This is basically what we want to do in this little podcast of ours, because we want to keep it in half an hour.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it gets boring for me too.
Yeah, but I think we touched a lot of the areas that we want to work on.
Yeah.
And it's the whole idea of character structure is really fascinating, and it's a great tool to work with once you have the understanding.
Yeah, and also in combination with the understanding, but we talk about that another time, of the myofascial trains. If you understand the myofascial trains, how the body is developed in that way, like Thomas Myers is showing in the myofascial trains book, he dissected the body in 7 or 8 myofascial trains traveling through the body, and if they hold tension, then it's related to other tension in the body. If you learn to see that structure, then it's interesting to also combine it with the knowledge of the character structures and the holding pattern in that. Yeah. So that we talk about that next time or sometime after.
Next time. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Thanks for listening. Hope to see you for the MER 7 in December.
Yeah. Good. Thank you, Ketu.
Thank you.